Hey, welcome to FYI with Mickey and Jessica. So, today we're going to be talking about family and disability. So, just so you guys know, we're going to start with the definition. Pretty much, the definition is any condition that makes it more difficult for a person to do a certain activity or interact with the world around them. So if you cannot interact with the world around you or you can't complete certain tasks, there might be like some form of, disability. So anything you wanna
Yeah,
add,
for sure.
Jessica?
There's different types of disabilities, learning disabilities, physical limitations, and definitely mental health disabilities. I've been diagnosed with chronic PTSD because I lived in a, really bad childhood and, have experienced certain traumatic events. So it can definitely affect your learning, definitely affect how long you're able to be in a classroom or how you interact with people. And, with disability, um, you can tell sometimes if someone's trying to accommodate for you. If you are physically disabled and you have to go to a conference and they don't have a wheelchair ramp, if you're able bodied, you're not going to think, oh my gosh, they don't have a wheelchair ramp. You're probably not. But if someone needs that ramp, they're going to be like, hey, how am I going to get into this conference? It's not accessible. So I
Hmm.
think, definitely disability, it affects different platforms and different environments for sure.
So do you think that physical disability like gets more attention than mental disability? Would you
I
say?
feel that physical disability does because when someone's physically disabled, we see things more with our eyes sometimes than we feel. We know how to feel, but when we see things, we're like, oh, that's different, and we spot it out and we say, oh, do you need help? But we don't really, ask someone, hey, how are you feeling today? Unless, we see it or hear it, but we don't really recognize it. And
Mhm.
that's why in society, a good focus on mental health and communication and opening that communication in schools, at home, at dinner tables, with friends is very important because there are all different types of disabilities. In learning disability, you can't always see that as well. You could have dyslexia, and no one could really know. So I think if we open ourselves to learning more about different types of people and that not everyone's going to be perfect and be more accepting instead of shaming people, then maybe we'll be able to recognize and accept people at where they are in their lives.
Definitely. And education is so important because education is independence. And there's certain time you can't have that independence because of the type of disability that you have. So I'm gonna say a lot of acronyms.
Go
As a
ahead.
social worker, we use a lot of acronyms and it's
Yeah,
crazy. But
list.
I will try to, give you the definition of it.
Mhm.
And so PSD it's pretty much program for student with disability. So you should check with your school. That's for grade school. That's not for college. To see if they have a PSD program. So what it is pretty much they provide funds for people who are students who are disabled. Every public or government school should have that. And if you go to a private school, that's a different story. So
Yeah.
you have to when it comes to private school, it is different. It's not the
Mhm.
same as a public school. They have their own rules and regulation. So I say, just check with your school and see if they have it. And the same service you have in grade school, it's not the same. It doesn't translate when you go to college.
No.
That's the thing with disability. It's so crazy. I thought that, it will just, but I was looking this up. I'm like, whoa. So,
Mhm.
you have to start over and find a new information all over
That
again.
can be very difficult, especially if you have a mental disability. That can be very frustrating.
Yeah, and I learned about IEP diplomas. So there are students that can't get a general diploma, so they get the IEP. And
Hmm.
the thing about the IEP, it's not credited, so you can't
Hmm.
use it to go to like FIU or FAU or something like that. You have to go and get a GED after you get the IEP.
So, what does IEP stand for, Mickey?
So the IEP it's just a form of It's for individual student with disabilities or program, and they do everything, including give the student that cannot graduate a diploma.
So it's like an individualized education program.
Yes, that's what it is pretty much. So the school should have it. If a school don't have it, you ask
Mhm.
about it, and then you have to get into it. And so you have to apply, and then you have to go to the process. They have to test you, and then you have to fall under the 13 categories. There
Hmm.
are 13 categories of disability that falls under there. And I'm gonna go over some of them.
Okay.
So deaf or blindness,
Okay.
that's one of them. Deafness, emotional disturbance. I don't know how you define this. I guess we can slide in bipolar right there. So I don't know if they will take it, but it's a
Schizophrenia.
emotional disturbance. So hearing impairment, intellectual disability. There's multiple disabilities, so you can have a physical disability
Mhm.
and a mental disability at the same time.
So it seems like they use a lot of the standards that are also used through Social Security disability because
Mm-hmm.
even if you're trying to get Social Security disability, you got to meet. You have your disability has to be under what they have, and
Exactly.
especially especially with this IEP in Social Security disability, there probably is a how severe is
Mm-hmm.
your disability before we can actually help you. If it's not that severe, or if it's not on a spectrum of I don't know, I don't
Exactly.
know if they'll be eligible, then that makes it really difficult to still continue to live with what you have and still go to school and go through the education programs that you have to go through.
The thing is, you have to have it, first of all.
Mm,
Second, you have to need special help for it. Just because someone has a disability, that doesn't mean they need the special help for it. Some
okay,
people don't. They just, they want to be different. So
exactly.
just
Oh,
because
yeah.
someone has ADHD, that doesn't mean the person need to be in the program exactly. If it's control, they can get to school, they can do everything they need to do, things like that. So,
I think for sure, but I feel like if someone has ADHD and their parent or their guardian knows, okay, well, it seems like they're able to do this, this, and this, probably don't have to sign them up. But if you
exactly.
already know that they have this, and then you try to get signed up, and then they say, oh, well, it's not severe enough. But what is their definition of severe? They do that a lot with Social Security. Someone can have this problem and is really
Mm-hmm.
affecting life, but you have to get certain things approved. You have to go to a medical provider, and they have to, basically narrate this, and you have to go somewhere else, and they have to do this, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many standards, and it can take years to try to get Social Security disability. So when I think about this program, I wonder how they treat, those conditions.
Mm. So there's a test.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a private test, and they do it in school as well. So they can go to the school and test the student. So whatever they testing you for, you have to fall under it. So if it's a visual impairment, I guess your personal doctor or something like that can prove that you have a visual impairment,
Yeah.
depend on what it is. And then so you have to wait for the test and trying to
Mm.
get the result, and it's you pretty much you just have to meet the requirement. And they do have a number, because these are programs that are funded, so that doesn't mean they don't always have the income.
Yeah. Exactly. And so, are there any, when it comes to disability and education, are there any limitations or anything kind of holding back these students other than having to first meet the standards, um, and be eligible, and then have to wait for the test results, and then what comes after that?
So pretty much once they qualify, they can actually get the program
Mm-hmm.
and start using the resources, whatever resources the school provide. The IDEA, which is Individual with Disability Education, they also call them Section 504 or
Mm.
Program 504. They do like free education. So um, it requires, since 1975, it passes, it requires for school to provide free education to students with disability. And also they have the RTE, which is Right of Children to Free and Complete Education, which is it passed in 2009. So And what I learned that was very interesting is a student with disability can stay in school up until the age of 21
Nice.
or until they graduate. They can if they graduate 18 or 19, it's okay, but they can stay till 21. So they give them a little bit extra time, to finish.
It's very interesting. It seems like there still are some barriers that the students may face, especially if they're trying to go to college and they have
Mm-hmm.
they get the the IEP, and that doesn't really help them. They didn't have to do a GED. They just get an IEP, then do the GED, and then try to get into college.
Well, if you have a general high school diploma, then
Mhm.
no. But not everyone, like, depend on the disability, not everyone can get a general high school diploma. But if you have the IEP, then in that case, then you will have to pass the GED because it's not credited, so you can't take it. It doesn't like transfer to any of the colleges or anything like that, because it's kind of like a participation
Mhm.
ribbons, I guess, versus a first place trophy. So
Wow. It really sounds like what they could do is, they could probably offer say you're eligible to be in the IEP program, but
mhm.
when it comes to graduating, you're going to have to do the GED. But what we can do right now is be in the IEP program, but we can enroll you um, in, preparing for the GED test so you can be kind of in both programs, and then, when your time comes, you can also have that preparation. So it doesn't feel like you have to do the IEP program and then do the GED program. It's you're doing it both at the same time. Because I think even regardless if you have the disability, if someone's telling you, hey, you got to do this, oh, now you got to do this. That's we're humans. Humans get frustrated, and
Mhm.
that seems like extra work.
And
And
parents too, not to mention parents.
yeah.
So it's hard to explain this to parents because we're talking about a child that they love, and you
Mhm.
have to explain all this to a parent. They might be a little bit upset. So as parents, you have to educate yourself and get all the information. There are programs out there,
Yeah.
but it's just that it's the process. The process can be a little bit frustrated at first.
Hmm.
And if they say your child is not qualified and you feel like your child is qualified, you can take it to the programs. And then the program is like a mutual party. They get to make that decision. So
Yeah.
that's one thing if you disagree, the school disagree, you guys not coming together, then they intervene to make sure that everyone end up, with a happy result. So.
And it sounds like it can get pretty complicated because, like, for
Mhm.
example, you try to get in that program, and let's say that your parent actually doesn't, I mean, loves you, but not in a way, not at home. They show more anger and more hostility to you at home.
Mhm.
Then they may feel like, well, I have to do this and that. I'm really frustrated. And they put that on their child. That's even more frustrating, for that child. And, to have to be going to get through this program, but then have to come home to all of that. Because we still got to remember there's some parents, there are all different types of parents. There's some that can control their emotions, and there's some that cannot. There's some that can control their drinking, there's some that cannot. There's
Exactly.
parents that still do drugs. There's a lot of different types of parents, um, a lot of different things going on at home, which can affect not just education, but being in that program, especially with the specific disability that you may have. Um, and of course, let's say that you're a parent that really, you're working all the time, you don't have much, money, and you're trying to finish this process for your child, help them get to their appointments that they need so that they can be eligible. But on top of it, you may be a single parent, which maybe have more frustrations. You may not have a car. You may have to take the bus, which may is even more frustrations. You may not have that much money, and you may be signing up for SNAP or ADC or any other programs that you have on top of this program, which is even more frustration and more burdens and barriers put on top of you.
Exactly. And also there are materials that can give out. So if someone is blind or deafness, so
Mhm.
to get these materials and to learn how to use it and to make this your new normals, especially if you wasn't born with that disability, it just happened.
Exactly.
So it's hard on the person itself, and some people they can't remember what they learned. So if you can't remember what you learned and then someone trying to test you on it, that is frustrated because I don't remember anything. So it's like,
And that's very interesting. Especially to have a disability that you have like really major memory issues and you can't remember what you learned. But at the same time, that makes me think about in general schools. It's just I feel like the education system is just about regurgitating, and then it's just like in general, regardless of disability, when it comes to the education system, you go into a class, you got to learn this information, and then you need to just remember it for a test,
mm-hmm.
and then you just whoop, it's gone. But imagine those people that have that trouble just remembering that portion. That's extra strain, and then the standardized tests don't help, and I really
Oh,
wonder
no,
what they
it's
do when it comes to standardized tests for those in IEP programs. I really wonder how they accommodate for that.
like SAT or ACT or something like that.
SAT, ACT, in
Okay.
Florida, the FCAT. Um, it's called something else in New York. They have it in almost every state. Those standardized tests that are one size fits all type of tests.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's really frustrating, and it probably could be very frustrating. But I think this is a great topic, and I think disability is a very great topic to talk about because it can affect different types of people indirectly and directly in different ways.
Yeah, definitely. This is like a huge topic. We just talk about it just a little bit. We didn't
Mhm.
even crack the surface at
No.
all.
Mhm.
So because of timing, we're going to have to, take a pause on this topic, but we are planning to talk about family in the future with different type of issues that they're facing. So we hope that this was helpful. And if you guys have questions, you can always, ask us. And then if we don't know, we will look it up. And if we know, we will tell you. So
We have a Google.
anything you wanna add, Jessica?
Today is Tuesday.
All right. All right, guys. See you next time.
Actually, it's Tuesday.
All right. Bye.